Recording. All right, everyone, welcome aboard. Let me just start sharing my screen right here. For those who don't know me, my name is Guillermo. I'm one of the tech gurus for CodePath, and I help with the iOS development curriculum, helping tech fellows and professors as well with carrying out our courses here at CodePath. So everything that I'm about to do here in terms of interview practice, this is all from my own free time. I'm not putting these in my hours for work. This is just for funsies because I love helping students, and I like practicing interview problems, especially during interview season right now. So it's a really cool way and fun way to have fun with other people remotely, and especially during these COVID times where you can't really meet in person. Typically I would do these in person, but I guess we have to find workarounds for it, right? But that's a little introduction about me. So let's get started with how we're going to implement our sessions. So everybody please go to the HackMD that I shared in the chat. I'll post it up again. And it's also in the Slack channel if you don't know where it's at. So it should be look something like this. And we are currently in session 3. Everybody on session 3, give me a thumbs up on the Zoom. Awesome, okay. So let's look at the problem for a bit. We're gonna spend from now until 5:15 or around there, yeah. We're gonna just look at the problem and utilize the umpire method, which if you recall from our previous CodePath courses, and for those who are new to it or haven't learned or taken our interview course preparation yet, I will add the umpire method here. Essentially, the umpire method consists of following along this acronym, umpire. For those who are new, I will just go through it briefly, just so that you're on the same page with everyone else. Umpire essentially is comprised of a few steps. First is understand. This is the one that we're going to be doing right now for the first couple of minutes to understand the problem so that everybody's on the same page when they go ahead and break out rooms and tackle the problems with their teammates. So the first portion is basically understanding the problem. So in these following 10 minutes, I want you all to ask me questions about test cases and also questions about the function in regards to assumptions. For example, hey, are we always going, what if an array is empty for the input? Or what if the length is 0, right? Things like that. Feel free to ask those questions. And then what you will be doing with your teammates is the rest of the formula, which is match. Match is basically asking yourself, what kind of question is this? What can I solve this with? Is this a string array problem? Is this a binary tree problem? A linked list problem? How can I solve this array problem? Can I do it with using a dictionary? Can I use it doing linked list, etc.? Planning is where you use your brain a lot. This is where a lot of the thinking happens, and you plan out your solution on how you plan to tackle it. For example, oh, okay, so I guess what we'll do for this is we have to use this approach where we configure each text to a certain character and then we combine them. Same with cat, right? We use let's do some run-throughs and see if our logic makes sense. Once you plan out your solution, now you go ahead and implement it in the actual, what is it called? IDE that we have set up. And I'm sorry, Java people, I didn't have enough time to do it. I was doing it last minute, the problem, but if you please can do so right now. If one of you has already done some REPLs, please help out by creating one for Java, and feel free to add it. You can go ahead and add it underneath. But everyone else, please make sure also to have a REPL account. And the way you would go about it is you simply click on the REPL here, open it in REPL. And then once you open it and you start editing, it'll automatically fork it. So by forking, if you haven't heard that before, it means that it'll create a copy of it for you. And what's beautiful about REPL is that it's like Google Docs. You can collaborate in real time with other people at the same time using the share button right here. So if you click here on share, and then you share the link to everyone else. I'm not gonna share mine because I don't want you guys to edit my REPL, but this is how you enable other people to join in. So you just copy this link and then you share it with your teammates. But make sure to sign in. And the best way to sign in is just using your Google account or GitHub account, so you don't have to take up so much time doing the initial setup. So any questions about this so far? Everybody understands the umpire method? Awesome. So if not, please go back to it. I put the link right here, and also the umpire method is right here and a more summarized version of it. Now let's go ahead and move on into the you portion, understand. So please ask me questions right now to try to and tackle down all the assumptions and all the constraints that could be possible in this problem. So go ahead, fire away, unmute yourself or ask them in the chat. I'll be answering questions, and then after that, I'll be putting you all in breakout rooms.
So basically, you go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I was gonna say, so basically is the like point of the problem, like each line can be a maximum length of whatever the length you gave was, and then you try and fill each line with the most number of words that can fit in it, and then if there's like extra space, you just add extra spaces between the words.
Yes, but you also have to make sure that the if you want to add, for example, why is the not in the first sentence?
Because like it wasn't the total like 8 characters, but the max length was 8, but there's already 2, there has to be 2 spaces between those words, so that would be like 10.
There
right?
has to be at least 1 space per word.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and if there isn't, then what you do is you push it as much as possible in order to fit it all at the end. So in other words, the last character of the last word should be at the end of the line. For example, here where it says the worst, if you add in the and worst, how many characters is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's actually 8 perfect characters, right? But because there needs to be a space in between each word, it would be 9, so it wouldn't fit. So you move worst at the next line. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other clarifying questions?
Every element you have in the array, does that mean a new line? Like after best, the next word of it starts with a new line. The same goes for the worst of. Is that the case, or it's just coincidence here?
I just want you to print it out the way it looks like. So you can do it with a new line. You can do it with an array, and for each element in the array, do so for example, let me copy this. This is where you will come in and solve it yourself. Maybe new output, new outlines. Maybe you can have it like this, where it was, and then you would do, oh wait, no, not that. So it would look something like this. And then the next one would be the best. So you can do it like that, or you can just do a big print statement with the new lines on it. Did that clarify a little bit, or?
No, my question was, so when the words in array element end, does that mean necessarily that we need to start a new line?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other
what would happen if you could all of your examples have just 2 words in the line, but what if there were 3? How would you add the extra spaces, like if necessary? Like would you evenly distribute the extra spaces, or would you put them all in between certain words?
Yes, you would evenly distribute them. If, like, for example, if there was 12 lines, hold up, I don't want to share the solution, but let me show you
Yeah.
how it would look. Let me show you how it would look with 12 lines. Okay. All right, let me reshare. So let's say that we had it at length 12. So how would you think this would look like? Let's run it. It would look like this for 12 lines. I'll go ahead and add it in the output here. Length equals 8, and then this one is for length equals 12. There you go. So yes, you still have to evenly distribute it depending on how many words you have and how many of them can fit in that line. Any other questions?
We assume that length is always going to be greater than or equal to the greatest word in lines.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Can we assume that length is going to be greater than or equal to the greatest word in lines?
Yes, that yeah, to make it a little easier on you guys, yes. The length should be at least equal to the biggest word in the array. Those are all great questions, and this is what really makes you stand out during the interview, asking clarifying questions like these. Any other questions? Okay, then it's 5:18, so I'll go ahead and give you all about 30 to like 32 minutes to work on it, which is typically what they will give you after asking questions. I'll go ahead and do breakout rooms, and I'll have everybody come back at around 5:50 or 5:55, somewhere around there. Cool. Let me do breakout rooms, and go ahead and start setting up your REPL so y'all can work together on it. Okay, here it is. How many of us are there? Oh, we got a new person in here. Okay. Hello, Aisha. Can you hear us? If you can hear us, we're going to start doing breakout rooms. Oh, there you go. Hello, Aisha. If you can hear us, we're going to go into the breakout rooms and start doing the problems that we were assigned to do. Awesome. So I'll go ahead and create the breakout rooms. I'll stay in the main lobby in case any more people join, and move around breakout rooms if needed, if I see that there's like a person that left for some reason. All right, everybody good to go? I'm gonna go into breakout rooms. Give me a thumbs up if you're still active, just so that I know that I'm not sending people with someone that's not active. Okay, perfect. All right, everyone, I'll see you all in breakout rooms now. Hey everyone, how's it going? How was the session for all of you? Any feedback from the chat? Or through microphone as well? How did it go for everyone? Pretty good? Or a better question, were any of you able to break down the solution? come down to a solid solution that can work. Okay, so it seems like not everyone was able to come to it. But how far were some of you able to get? Humberto, would you like to share your progress on where you have been able to go to?
Yeah, we didn't get to finish the problem, but I can share my screen.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be perfect. So we can see your train of thought.
All right, yeah. So I was working with John. Can you see my
Yeah.
Cool. So our first I guess our first step was to actually put all words into a longer list. So we did for every line in lines. We split the line and then we just added all those words into a long list. It just made it easier to loop through all the words in different indices. So then we created a temp list, which was gonna hold our, I guess, our words at each line. And we also had a count, which was going to count the number of characters we had in the current line. And then our index is just for looping purposes. So we were going to loop through every single word in the longer list. And we got the current length of each word. And we said if index is 0, which means we're in the first word, we can just add it into our temp list. And that because I think one of the things you said is that the length of the line will always be greater than the longest word. So we didn't have to we didn't have to check for at least the first index. So then we added that into count, and next time we loop around is where we kind of got stuck because we didn't know exactly how to. We didn't get to finish it, but we did create a helper function that once you have like the maximum words in each line, you take in the line length, you take the temp list that holds your words, and the current length of the words without the spaces. So then using that, we're able to determine how many spaces we need to add between all words. And we got places to add as a variable. So we know how many spots we have to add these number of spaces by. So then we know that for between each word, we need X amount of spaces. So this is that variable. So then we created a variable called spaces that just multiplies extra space per word times spaces. And then we use that string to just join all our words together. Yeah, after that, we didn't have enough time to finish it, but I think me and John were on the right track.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think you're definitely onto it. Just a little, if you had, a little extra time, and you would have been able to finish it. That's good. Anybody else would like to share where they are right now? Reina, would you like to share where you have been able to get to?
So I came in late, and also like my partner also came in late, so we spent a lot of time figuring out what this problem is, like what it's asking for. So we actually don't have like a code.
Gotcha.
But I can talk about like the algorithm.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry, we came in late.
What about Raikirat? Is that your name?
Yeah, you can call me Rai.
Rai?
So we kind of approached it. Let me share a screen. So we also kind of approached it in the way that we first created a long list where we streamed the input list and then split them with the space. So created the long list. And then once we had that, we were trying to, we wanted to parse over that list until the end last word. So that's where we had the while loop. And then we were tracking what is the current index of the element that we are trying to build in the first new list and the remaining length. So initially the remaining length would be equal to your max length. And as you add more words, that length would get updated. You add the new length, and in the remainder length, you reduce it by the value of the words that you have added. But we were not able to finish it, so we were still trying to figure out how to append the extra spaces in case you have a word which is not the last element. So we were still figuring it out.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, this one is actually a pretty tough one. I wanted to ask all of you if it would all be down to meet up again and continue and finish this problem, because it is very important to, as for interview practice, it's always good to always finish it. Like, go to the finish line and don't leave it as how it is right now. So I think what I'll do is I'll definitely either leave it for homework, or I'll let you guys keep working on it next week to see how you guys are doing. And I'll have people who are new to the chat to kind of sort of mess around with it and get something going before we join. So I think I'll do that, because yeah, I don't want to leave everyone with not having a satisfactory solution on their own. So I'm not going to share my answer or explain it yet, because I can definitely tell that this is one of the tough ones. But this question, to give some context, this is the one that I got from Intuit. This is one of their, I think it was their HackerRank challenge. And this is the one that came before the Carrot interview. So it's crazy how they gave me the harder question first, and then they gave me like a sort of easier question on the Carrot interview. It's interesting. But I just wanted to see how you guys would go about it. But yeah, this is one of the questions that I received from Intuit. So this is what to expect from an interview, and if you apply to Intuit, very likely to get a problem with this challenging. But yeah, I guess what I'll do is I'll leave it to you guys for homework to keep exploring, keep messing around with it, but don't finish it entirely. If you do, then try to make it even more, more efficient. And then we'll go ahead and do breakout rooms again next week to try and finish strong. So that way you guys can have your own solution. But yeah, I know that most of you have class right now. So if you all have to go, you're free, you're dismissed. You can still stick around and ask me questions about other things.
Just curious, did you solve this problem on the spot?
No, it did take me about, I think they gave me 60 minutes. So I had like an extra 20 minutes to solve it. Yeah, the HackerRank was about an hour. So
I see.
Yeah, but I was like in your place too, where I just came in and you're like, you have to read it and try to understand it on your own. So it's a little hard when you don't have like that other people around you trying to figure it out as well. So I would say that I spent about 20 minutes just trying to understand it, and then 40 minutes actually planning and coding out my solution.
Okay, yeah. So 68 minutes, one question for Intuit.
Yeah, for Intuit. So
is this for intern role or like full-time?
It was for the full-time role, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The last question that I got, I'll show it to you guys later on once we finalize this one. But the last interview that I received on my final round, it was more open-ended, but I think it's also good to practice open-ended questions where they give you like I'll tell you the basics of it, but essentially they just asked me to build a family tree in whatever data structure that I liked. So I did it in a dictionary, and then they asked me to implement functionalities to the tree. For example, so
you're building like a whole class.
Yeah, basically I build the whole class, the initializer, and I'm like, oh, does it take an empty dictionary, or can it take like does it need inputs always, things like that. So it's more of like building a product type of interview, and they just give you cases and scenarios, and you just keep asking them questions back about like, oh, so you mean like this, or what if we make it this way? Will the user encounter an issue like this? No, yes, okay, I think I'll go with this method then. Things like that. It's pretty fun. I'll go ahead and find a way to incorporate it on a group setting. But yeah, but in the meantime, yeah, keep exploring around with this problem. I know this is one of the tough ones. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I was practicing for interviews, I was hammering practice interviews for quite a while. But I've seen some of my friends that have gotten way harder problems than these. But it's good to get you started, to get you exposed to these kinds of questions, so you can see the type of challenge that is going to come when you apply for full-time. In this case, for Intuit. But it all depends on the company. Sometimes they give you something extra. For example, Yelp, they gave me a question where I had to use their API, and I had to like format the data in a way that they wanted based on the API call. But you know where I was struggling the most? Just figuring out how to do the API call, because they don't explain that very well on their on the interview portion. It wasn't the interview, it was a HackerRank. And I was like, what the heck? How does their API even work? So I spent most of my time doing that than the actual algorithm. By the time I figured out the API, I only had like 5 minutes left, and I was like, oh shoot, dang it. So I tried my best, but I only got halfway and I didn't get the next round. Yeah.
Oh my god, you kind of remind me. I got a challenge. It's a 3-hour challenge from a startup. And guess what I have to build? I had to build a whole interpreter, basically a compiler.
Oh my god.
Can you believe? And I applied as an intern. Like
as an intern?
And yeah, so I'm a junior, right? And then they're like, "Oh my god, just build an interpreter." I was like, "What the hell?"
And
I don't even know how compiler works, and I had to build one. Like, yeah, it was crazy. Even with 3 hours.
I'm assuming it was like a very deep into computer science startup.
Yeah, like they do no code products.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That's hard.
Of course, yeah, that's understandable. But for Intuit or Yelp or let's see, Airbnb, most of the questions that they asked me so far have been manipulating data, manipulating arrays or API data, stuff like that.
Interesting.
So something to keep in mind. Google tends to ask questions that are from my experience, they have been like easy questions, but they expect you to do like super fast complexity time. Because I was like, when I had one of the coding challenges, when I did the Google one, I was like, there's no way it was this easy. It was just iterating for one array and then just printing out some dummy data, and that's it. I was like, what the heck? I'm pretty sure they want me to do something like a one-line solution or a super fast complex runtime. Yeah, and I didn't get it. And even though I got all the cases right, I didn't get it. I was like, yep.
So they're looking for something else.
Yeah, they were looking for something else. So
I think same thing with Facebook though.
Yeah, Facebook also.
Yeah, I know Facebook interviews are hard. Like they ask like LeetCode medium to LeetCode hard questions, but the HackerRank is like pretty easy. But you have to really get it like to be the most optimal solution.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter, they for some reason they love binary tree questions and linked lists.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's so
linked list, yeah.
Out of all my interviews with them, they always gave me a binary tree or some linked list to work on. So that's like, if you want to apply to them, you'll most likely expect to receive something in trees or linked list. It all depends on the company. So what you should do is just really ask like your friends that have applied and ask them what kind of question they received. Not the what do you call it? Oh, of course. Yeah, Humberto, thanks you for coming in. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming in. But whoever is still here around, just to give you more feedback on that. Yeah, they typically ask your friends. For example, Robinhood, one of my friends that applied there,
I did the Robinhood challenge.
You did? My friend.
Yeah, for HackerRank. I didn't get it.
Did they give you a dynamic programming question?
Oh my god, yes, one question.
Okay, I knew it. Yeah, I didn't love dynamic programming.
I didn't learn dynamic programming, so it was tough.
Dang. Yeah, Robinhood likes to ask really hard questions based on, what is it called? Machine learning. So dynamic
Whoa,
programming,
okay.
and backtracking, and really hard algorithm questions.
Yeah, oh my god, I had this like one. So there's like 2 or 3 questions I forgot, but there's one question where like you're right, like some sort of machine learning involved. Like you had to go from one place to another one, like based on a grid and a coordinate, stuff like that. So I thought it was like a graph question, but yeah, I feel like it's kind of hard. I didn't have enough time. The amount of time they gave us is crazy. I think, okay, now I remember. We were only given less than 2 hours for 4 questions, and they're not easy 4 questions.
Damn.
The carrot interview, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that too. It pissed me off. After
Wait.
completing that, I got that one, so I passed that round. But going on to the interview with what was it called? Oh wait, no, it was Code Signal for those 4 questions.
Oh
and
yes,
then
Code
carrot
Signal. I was talking.
Yeah,
Code
yeah.
Signal.
And then the carrot interview was just like some like software engineer that like interviewed me. I did well, but then like 2 days after, apparently I didn't get accepted. Like I don't understand
I
what
had
happened.
the same experience with the Carrot. So I did it with another company, not Robinhood, but I did it with Carrot, right? For the interview. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I was so pissed. Like the girl who interviewed me, I solved the problem, right? So like I got everything. After I solved the problem, there's 5 minutes left, right? 5 minutes left. She was like, "Okay, looks like we have enough time for another one." I was shocked.
Oh yeah, they do that.
Yeah, and then she literally threw me another question. So when people do that, they usually expect you to like explain the thought process instead of coding it out, right? So I told her, okay, I will do this in graph, blah blah blah, 1 2 3 XYZ, right? And she was like, okay, can you think of a more optimal one? So I thought of something. I thought of some solution, but I told her, I think this is the most optimal one, like based on my experience, right? She was like, okay, code it. Like, okay, I started coding. The moment I start writing the first variable, she was like, oh, time's up.
Oh wow.
I was so shocked because I was also like really, really mad because I could have walked out of the interview giving her impression that I solved the problem completely, but she decided to throw me another problem when it's 5 minutes left. So she left the interview thinking that I didn't complete it. You know what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but as long as you were able to finish the first one, you should be okay. But
the company. No, I didn't get move on to the next round. So yeah.
Because when I did the carrot for Intuit, the interviewer really liked how we spent most of our time talking about the problem rather than the actual solution, which for you, William, and Rai and Mina, I'm talking about the session 1 problem. That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one that I did for the carrot interview. And on my solution, I spent most of my time just asking him questions like, is this how we would want it to look like? Is this what you expect? Is this what the output be at the end? All that stuff. And at the end of the interview, he said, yeah, we ran out of time. Although, I mean, they always come prepared with about 3 questions, just in case you're really that good. But I was only able to solve the first one. But he said that he really liked how I was communicative. He really enjoyed how I was very careful with the way how I asked my questions. And he said that that's what they typically look at for candidates. They want to see how good of a communicator you are and how good are you for asking questions, asking the right questions. So it's not so much about, all right, you didn't solve it, you suck, you didn't get the interview, you didn't get the job. It's more of like, can this guy talk? Can this guy communicate well and express his ideas to me clearly? That's all they're trying to look at. Your coding skills, they'll notice it once you start coding it. But if you're able to communicate your ideas well, then they know that you'll be good at coding it. Because if you, what you'll notice, there's a pattern that I started seeing after I took the interview prep course from our CodePath curriculum. And that pattern is that when you start practicing more the planning portion of the umpire method, you start getting really good at implementation because it's like a sequence. The way I see the umpire method is like cooking. You can't make a hamburger without cooking the meat, right? So you have to cook first. You have to make sure all your ingredients are ready and prepared before you even start coding. So if you try to make a hamburger with uncooked meat, that's going to be bad for your stomach. And that's the same analogy that I use for explaining why it's important to ask questions and talk. But I guess students still don't understand sometimes nowadays. But little by little, it'll get ingrained. And that's why the most viable skill we can ever give you from CodePath is literally how to speak, how to express your ideas. And that's why we have the project portion on our iOS and Android courses, because we want you to lay out what you did on your app. What is it that you worked on? Why did you work on it? What problem is it solving, right? And at the end, we have our demo day, which is where you express all your ideas and everything, and you communicate clearly what you worked on. So in the end, just, yeah, don't worry. So if you can't solve technical problems like the ones that we just did today, or if you didn't, or don't hurt yourself. Don't make yourself feel bad for not being able to solve it. Just worry more on planning. Worry more about thinking about the problem. And eventually the logic will start coming in. Because understanding lists and dictionaries, that's easy, right? You can make a list right now. You know how to append to a list. It's super easy, right? You can memorize it. Everybody knows how to memorize those actions. But understanding how to implement and plan out how to utilize those methodologies, that's where you come in as an engineer. But all right, everyone, I have to go as well. Thank you for coming in. I'll post a recording on our Slack channel, and I'll also post a poll on whether or not these are for Tuesdays at 5 p.m. PST is still a good time to do these sessions, because I've been getting some direct messages about wanting to change the times. So I'm willing to listen, but I'm also willing to give everyone a voice on this. But thank you everyone so much for coming.
Thank
If
you.
you have any other questions,
you.
I'm on Slack. You can DM me or anything, or email me as well. But I'll be there. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you all next week.